Welcome back to Over 50. Today in Royals news, I'm going to be talking about where the Royals are in the standings, talking about Daniel Lynch's return, successful return. Had a really good outing back to the major league, so he fixed some of those delivery issues. Jorge Soler is now crushing the ball like we had hoped he would at the beginning of the year. And I'm going to talk about the Royals draft pick. So go ahead and get started here. The Royals, as you can see, are, and this is the wild card. So I'll go ahead and talk about this since I'm on the page. The Royals, if they wanted to make the postseason, they are 11 and a half games back from being in the wild card. In a previous video, I said the wild card was probably not much. There wasn't probably much difference of them as far as making the wild card. They're 11 and a half games back. They'd have to go on a serious run in order to make the postseason. They'd have to have a lot of help from all these teams in front of them, from the Rays, the A's, the Mariners, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Guardians. Don't get me started on them. And that name change, the Angels and the Tigers would all have to lose a lot for the Royals to win and get in. If we go to the regular season standings, the Royals are not in last place anymore, but they are 15 games out of first. They beat the White Sox last night. They have 2 more games, I believe, with the White Sox tonight and tomorrow. So if they were to win those 2 games, that would help pull them a little bit closer, but they're just so far behind right now. I just don't see any way that they could really, this late in the season, make a push, to win the Central or even make it into the wild card postseason. So I'm going to spend some time talking about some of the Royals players, some things that we can look at. We can be excited for the future, but Daniel Lynch came back, and his first 3 outings with the Royals were anything but good. And he came back, and his first game back, he went 8 shutout frames. And the nice thing about this, or the interesting fact about this, is that it was the longest outing by any Royals starter this year, and the best. It is when you have starting pitchers that can go 8 shutout frames. And when you think about that, that's kind of a big deal, because if you look at the stats, like the very first at bat that a player has against a pitcher, they usually, their batting average is usually low. The second time it goes up a little bit more, and usually the third time it goes up even more, because they've seen the pitcher, they've seen their stuff, and they're starting to get a read on the pitcher. The fact that he went 8 shutout innings, and some of these guys had seen him for a third time, and he still was able to, I'm not saying he got them out every time, but he was still able to pitch well enough to not give up any runs. I think that's a pretty huge deal. So that's something good that we can look at for the future. Again, Jorge Soler, he belted 2 more home runs. He had a 2-homer game and was the key cog in the Royals beating the White Sox last night. So it's nice to see Jorge Soler hitting well, but I don't want to get too excited about this, because I just don't see the Royals bringing him back. He's not under control for next year, and I could see somebody else wanting to give him big bucks to go, or to play, and I just don't see the Royals matching that or trying to keep him. But I mean, if he's able to go on a tear the last half of the season, maybe the Royals would keep him. But the Royals are a small market team, and small market teams don't normally pay big contracts. So it's good to see him hitting well, and I hope he continues to hit well for us. That's just my opinion on that. So moving on, we will talk about the Royals prospects. I was going to do a separate video on this, but instead I decided that I would just highlight a few of the Royals' top 30 players. Okay. And I'm not going to go through all these guys. I'm just going to talk about a couple of them. And you can't have this conversation without first talking with Bobby Witt Jr. And what makes Bobby Witt Jr. so good is if you look at the scouting grades, okay, with a low of 20 and a low of 20 and a high of 80 being the best rating that a player can get. Everything he has is in the 60s. His hits a 60, runs a 60, fields a 60, power is a 60, arms a 60, overall is a 60. And he hasn't even made it to the major leagues yet, you know. So, I mean, he's only getting better. Those numbers have come up from when he was drafted in 2019. And as you can see, his ETA, he's due to make the majors in 2022. So next year we should see a lot of Bobby Witt Jr. Daniel Lynch, as I just mentioned, he's already in the major leagues. So he had an ETA of 2021, which is this year. And, you know, his control is up to a 55. That was something that that's something that he needs to really, pitchers need to be able to have command of their pitches. So you would like to see this a little bit higher, but he's 6'6". He's got that great size as a left-hander. So hopefully he continues to do well and can provide us a solid arm for the next 3 or 4 years and hopefully help the Royals be competitive. Jackson Kowar is another pitcher I want to talk about. He's also got that good size, 6'5", but he's a right-handed pitcher. And the thing that I like about Jackson Kowar is look at the changeup level. Look at his changeup. It's rated as a 70. That is important when you have a pitcher that has such a good changeup. If a player is sitting on a fastball or looking for a fastball, you know, that changeup they can just either get really ahead of the pitch, and, you know, a changeup can really be an equalizer when you have a power hitter or such a good hitter up at the plate, when you can drop that changeup in there when they're least expecting it. He's got a really good fastball. His curveball and his control are in the 50s, and that's what's keeping his overall around a 55. And that's another reason why he's slated to come up this year. So hopefully we'll see him probably in the month of September when the Royals are out of it officially, you know, when there's absolutely no chance. But right now they're going to keep him in the minor leagues and give him an opportunity to work on his stuff. Another player that we hopefully will see this year, or we were supposed to see this year, is Kyle Isbell. And Kyle Isbell was drafted in 2018. His hit is a little above average. He's a pretty good runner. His power is not that great, so he's not going to belt a bunch of home runs for you. He's got a good arm. You know, his overall is a 50. So, you know, hopefully he can, you know, improve, and we'll be able to see him this year and see what he offers as far as the major leagues go. And the last player, or second to last player I want to talk about, Nick Pratto. He was drafted in 2017. He was our first round pick, 14th overall in 2017. And what I like about him is he's got such good fielding. And that's what you really need from a first baseman. You need a first baseman that can dig out those throws that are off, or can, you know, stretch to get throws that are, you know, not where they are supposed to be. When throws, like if a shortstop makes a wild throw trying to get a player out, it's nice to have that first baseman that can glove anything. His hit and his run is not very good. You don't really see many first basemen that are stealing bases. His power is a little above average. He's got a pretty good arm. You know, overall it's a 55, and he is supposed to be coming up next year in 2022. So it'll be nice to see him up here. And the last player I wanted to talk about is another left-handed pitcher with really good size that we should see this year, and it's Daniel Tillo. And he was drafted the same year as Nick Pratto. He was our third overall selection, or our third round selection, 90th overall. You can see he's got a good fastball, average changeup, decent slider, but his control, that is what's keeping him as an overall 45. He really needs to get better control of his pitches. So I don't know that we'll necessarily see him this year, but he is another one of those pitchers, you know, with really good size, and it would be nice to see if he's able to fix that control issue and come up. You know, he could be another one of those pitchers that the Royals can rely on and build around and maybe be competitive next year. The final thing I wanted to talk about is just show you the Royals draft selections. And this is from the Royals website. You can see that they've got some videos over here. If I click on the videos, YouTube will flag this video and whatnot. course, I'm not getting monetized anyway because I don't have enough subscriptions. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to put that subscription thing out there, but please hit that subscribe button. That would help me out a lot. If you like the video, click the like button. But I'm going to go to this page, which will show all the Royals draft choices. Well, I had it pulled up, but I might have closed it up. There it is. So the Royals have signed all their draft picks, and you can see right here, starting with their first overall pick, Frank Mozzicato. He was the high school left-hander that they picked with the 7th overall pick, and a lot of people started scratching their heads wondering what the Royals were doing. The Royals felt basically that he was the best left-handed pitcher in the entire draft, and they wanted to go get him. So that's a little bit of a reach, I think. I mean, you like your first overall selection to be somebody like Bobby Witt Jr., who you don't have to, you're not rolling the dice, wondering or hoping that they're going to be able to perform for you. But you can see these other players that they have signed. You can see what they signed for. You can what the slot column means is that that's how much money is allotted for that slot. And if you go over, basically what happens is it comes down to this final column. You see the overages, and then based on your over slot, you end up paying a penalty. I don't know exactly how all those numbers are crunched, but so the Royals, they pay their 5% max penalty because they went over on signing these guys. But it's good to see that they got everybody signed. So that's nice to see. And hopefully the Royals have a draft class that will be able to maybe equal the same draft class of the Moose and Eric Hosmer, and totally am drawing a blank on the third player in that draft. But anyhow, hopefully these guys are players that the Royals can build around. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. If you would, please hit that subscribe button. As I said earlier, subscriptions really would help me now getting my channel up and off the ground. If you like the video, hit the like button. Please drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the Royals draft picks, or what you think about Daniel Lynch, or if there's something else you'd like me to look into for you. And share this video with your friends out there. And until next time, take care and be safe.